What if the friendly clown who made children laugh at parties was secretly one of America's most horrifying serial killers? This is the chilling story of John Wayne Gacy, a man who hid behind grease paint and a smile while committing some of the darkest crimes in U.S. history. To his neighbors in suburban Chicago, John Wayne Gacy was a well-liked businessman, a community volunteer, and even performed as Pogo the Clown at charity events and children's parties. Outwardly, he appeared charming, helpful, and respectable, but behind closed doors, Gacy was hiding a horrifying double life, a life that would eventually reveal more than 30 victims buried in the most unimaginable place under his very own home. Born in 1942 in Chicago, Gacy grew up in a troubled household. His father was an abusive alcoholic who often belittled him, while his mother tried to shield her son from the constant cruelty. As a teenager, Gacy struggled with health issues, social rejection, and a desperate desire to prove himself. Like many future killers, the seeds of resentment, repression, and control were planted early. By his 20s, Gacy seemed to turn his life around. He married, started a business, and became active in his local community. He was charismatic, ambitious, and skilled at winning people's trust. No one could have imagined the darkness that lurked beneath the surface. By the mid-1970s, Gacy was thriving financially, running a successful construction business. He was also deeply involved in local politics, often hosting neighborhood gatherings. But his most unusual role was his alter ego, Pogo the Clown, dressed in red, white, and blue face paint. Gacy would entertain children at hospitals, fundraisers, and birthday parties. To the community, he was a fun-loving clown who cared about people. In reality, the clown mask was the perfect disguise. It allowed him to get close to young men and boys, while no one ever suspected his true motives. Gacy's criminal behavior began long before his murders were discovered. In 1968, he was convicted of sexually assaulting a teenage boy and served time in prison. Shockingly, after just 18 months, he was released early for good behavior. This early warning sign was ignored, and Gacy was free to continue his predatory behavior. Throughout the 1970s, young men and boys in the Chicago area began disappearing. Some were runaways, some were lured with the promise of work at Gacy's construction company, and others were simply in the wrong place at the wrong time. Their families would file missing person reports, but many cases went cold. Few connected the disappearances to the seemingly friendly men next door. Gacy developed a sinister routine. He would lure his victims with job offers, drugs, or alcohol. Once inside his home, he used a trick he called the handcuff game, claiming he wanted to show them a magician's trick. Once the handcuffs were secured, the nightmare began. Victims were tortured, assaulted, and ultimately strangled to death with a rope, what Gacy chillingly referred to as his rope trick. But what made his crimes even more disturbing was what he did afterward. Gacy buried many of his victims in the crawl space beneath his house. When that space filled up, he disposed of bodies in nearby rivers. The suburban home where he lived with such confidence became a literal graveyard. By 1978, suspicions about Gacy began to grow. On December 11th, 15-year-old Robert Piest went missing after telling his mother he was going to talk to a contractor about a job. That contractor was John Wayne Gacy. When police began investigating, they quickly connected Gacy to other missing boys. Surveillance teams followed him, noting his erratic behavior and strange late-night activities. Eventually, police obtained a search warrant for Gacy's home. What they found would shock the nation. In December 1978, officers searched Gacy's house and made a gruesome discovery. The smell of decay was overwhelming. Beneath the floorboards, in the crawl space, they uncovered body after body. Over the following weeks, investigators exhumed the remains of 29 young men and boys from his property. Several more victims were later found in nearby rivers, bringing the total to 33 confirmed murders. The horrifying reality was undeniable. The friendly neighborhood clown was one of the most prolific serial killers in American history. Gacy's trial began in 1980 and became a media spectacle. Prosecutors presented overwhelming evidence, including Gacy's own chilling confessions. His defense attempted to argue insanity, claiming he didn't know right from wrong. But the jury saw through his manipulation. After a 6-week trial, Gacy was convicted on 33 counts of murder and sentenced to death. For years, he sat on death row at Menard Correctional Center in Illinois. During that time, he painted disturbing artworks. Many of clowns, including self-portraits of himself as Pogo. These paintings have since become infamous, sparking debates about the ethics of selling or displaying a killer's artwork. On May 10, 1994, John Wayne Gacy was executed by lethal injection. His final words were reported as chillingly dismissive. "Kiss my ass," with his death, one of America's darkest chapters officially closed, but the scars he left behind remain. The story of John Wayne Gacy is a haunting reminder that evil can hide in plain sight. He was a businessman, a neighbor, a volunteer, even a clown who made children laugh. Yet beneath the mask was a monster who preyed on the innocent. His crimes shocked America and forced communities to rethink who they could trust. Today, Gacy remains a symbol of deception, cruelty, and the chilling reality that sometimes the most terrifying monsters are the ones who look just like us.